Okay, let me ask you something and tell me if this sounds familiar. Have you ever felt super stuck in your life while you feel like you're watching other people live out their dream life? Like, have you ever just sat there and wondered if it's even possible for you? Believe it or not, it absolutely is possible, but your thoughts are going to be the thing that get you there. Now, before you scroll away, I know you have likely heard this before, but in today's video, I want to break down actually how this works. And before we dive in, I want to say welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather, and here I love talking all things about creating our dream reality, stepping into that version of ourselves that we feel truly and authentically called towards. So if that is something that interests you, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. So in today's video, I want to break down how I went from living in a life where I was working at a job that left me feeling so drained and unfulfilled. I was so unmotivated in my life, and I was honestly stuck in this perpetuating cycle that I felt like I was never going to get out of. To a point in my life where I was living my dream beach life in Costa Rica, I found a way to finally make my own income online. And I was booking one-way trips and traveling long-term, which had been a dream of mine for years. But I never thought that it would be possible for me. But I found the way to make it possible. And that is why I have made it my life's mission to share this information with you. But before we do dive in, I want to encourage you to get back in touch with that goal and that dream and that vision that you've had, because this is our chance for you to bring those goals back into the forefront of your mind. We want to revisit those goals, revisit those dreams and those visions. And it is so important to not just listen to this video, but take it seriously and actually apply what we talk about today. Okay, so step one. I am confident that you have likely heard the term, your thoughts create your reality. I know that none of us are a stranger to this concept, but if you're anything like I was, for the longest time, I heard this concept. I couldn't grasp what this actually meant. So this is where something called the response loop versus the aspiration loop comes into play. This is such an important one. You can essentially be doing two types of thinking. You can have two sets of thoughts going on in your mind. You can either be doing response thoughts or you can be doing aspirational thoughts. And this is what was the absolute game changer for me, because I didn't realize when I was living this life that was constantly in this perpetuating loop and repeating over and over and over again, and I wasn't in a reality that I wanted to be in. The reason for that was because I was doing response thinking. I was thinking in accordance to my reality. I was thinking about what was already happening in my reality. I was reacting to it. And what was I doing when I was waking up in the morning and going to sleep at night? I was thinking about what happened that day, or what I'm stressed about happening the next day, or that email I have to respond to. I was always just response thinking. I was only thinking about my current reality because I was so caught up in it. I didn't know about aspiration thinking. I didn't know about setting my eyesight on my vision and my goals and my dream and thinking about that more often. Thinking about that when I go to sleep. Thinking about that when I wake up in the morning. Now, I know that this is no secret. I know that we know about this stuff, but I cannot express to you enough the importance and the relevance of doing this. Because here is what happens. Your reality is a mirror. And again, I know that we know this, but I'm trying to put this in the most basic and pound it into a way so it actually clicks for you today. Because our thoughts are a mirror, this is what happens. So say this is your current reality. So say something happens and you react to it and you think about it. So it brings you around to this. Now, because you're thinking about it, this is the action, this is the response that happens in reaction to this thought that you have. Because of this, again, you are going to respond to that. And what does this do? It brings you back in this loop. It keeps you in this perpetuating thought pattern. And that's what I was stuck in. Instead, it's our goal for you to be here, but instead of keeping yourself stuck in this loop, I want you to look in this direction and instead keeping your thoughts focused in a linear fashion. Now, we all know that life doesn't happen in a linear fashion by any means, but it's our intention to get you out of this loop that you are stuck in. How do you do that? By not constantly responding to everything that's happening in your reality. You want to expand your thought to not always be about the tiny little things that are happening in your current reality. I'm not telling you to completely disregard your entire reality and ignore everything that's happening, but there are a lot of things that we go to bed thinking about that just hold no value. You don't need to be thinking about that conversation you had with your coworker. You don't need to be thinking about your emails. Instead, I want you to start focusing and shifting your thoughts in accordance to with where you want to be going. That needs to become your forefront thoughts. Because here is the cool thing about the world we live in, this beautiful universe that we live in. The universe has no choice but to react to the thoughts that you have that have belief attached to them. So if you constantly are thinking and reacting to your current reality, the universe will just say, okay, and give you more of that. And in doing so, if you're constantly someone who stays stuck in the negative thought patterns, I don't have good luck, good things never happen to me, because you're just reacting to what's happening, the universe will just say, okay. And then what are you going to do? You're going to look at that as proof, and you're going to say, see, nothing good ever happens to me. And that is how you stay stuck in the loop. So instead, it's up to you to take the responsibility to start shifting your thoughts in the direction that you want to be moving in. I always have incredible luck. I'm always moving in the direction that I want to be moving. I am always working on improving my thoughts. I'm improving my health. And these thoughts are up to you. I know that you know the saying, the Lulu is the new Salulu. We all know this saying, and quite honestly, this actually works. It's up to you to start becoming delusional about your thoughts. A magpie just flew by my window as soon as I said that. Okay, now that we got that out of the way, let's talk about number 2. And this is truly the best thing. This is actually so much fun, because once this clicked for me was when everything changed, because I used to be such a type A, controlling, need to figure everything out, need to know how I'm going to do everything type of person. But when I realized that that was actually what was holding me back, and that I actually just got to let go and surrender, that is how things start to happen. Because think about it, in our very tiny little logical brains, we only know how to do so much. Why? Because our brains are only functioning based on what it has experienced, based on what it's seen. But the universe is limitless. The universe has limitless potential and opportunity that exists. So think about it. If you want to go from A to B, your mind only knows a certain amount of ways to do that. But the universe has endless ways to get you from A to B. And this is the kicker. And this is actually the fun part. So number 2, it is not your job to know how. It's not your job to know how. And like I said, I'm going to use my example just to show you and just to illustrate how this happened, okay? Stick with me on this one. I just want you to understand the series of events that happened to me that I never, ever could have put together. But the universe was like, you know what? You've been pretty strong on this vision, strong on this thought, and you've really believed that this is going to be your reality. We're going to start putting together the pieces for you. So to make it really quick, I had this vision of being in Costa Rica, living on the beach, working at a women's retreat was like my ultimate goal at the time, back when I was doing UGC content creation. I really wanted to be surfing every day. Now, as myself, as a Canadian living in the mountains, like that was just so far from my reality, but it was such a huge goal of mine. And I stayed so true to it, no matter how unrealistic it seemed. So let me tell you real quick how this happened. I was reaching out to brands in Guatemala to work with. I connected with a brand in Guatemala. I ended up going there, working with them for a couple months. From that, I met someone in that same town as me. Her and I really hit it off. We became roommates. We became really good friends. Through her, I met another girl that she was really good friends with, who was another Canadian. It was so funny because we were all FaceTiming and my friend just ran off and she said, I have to go do something real quick. Take over the FaceTime with her. So we start FaceTiming And we've just met right then and there over FaceTime. We're like, hey, how's it going? And she goes, yeah, I'm in Costa Rica right now and I'm running a women's retreat in a couple months. And I was like, no way. Magpie's back. And she said, yeah. And then she asked me what I do. And I said, well, I do content creation. I do UGC. And I'm really wanting to get into doing more travel content creation, content for accommodation and for experiences. And she said, no way. Literally yesterday, I was walking on the beach and I was manifesting needing to meet a content creator because I need a content creator for my event. And I said, well, you don't say. I mean, I'm available. And she's like, really? Oh my gosh, you would do that? I would love that, because it was in like a month from then. And I said, yep, no worries, I would love to. And she said, amazing, I'll take care of everything for you. Accommodation, food, everything will be sorted out for you. I just had to get there. So I ended up flying down. A couple months later, fast forward, because of all these connections that I made, everything's covered for me. I end up doing all this content for them. It was amazing. And through her, I meet this other guy who tells me, oh, I've come across this casita that's available on the beach. Do you want to rent it? Because you mentioned that you want to stay longer. It's available and I can hook you up. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Within a couple days, I'm living in a casita on the beach in Costa Rica. I buy a surfboard, I'm surfing. I've done the retreat already. I've got an amazing connection of people in Costa Rica. I'm quite literally doing everything that I had visualized not even a year ago for myself. Like, it's incredible how fast this stuff can start to manifest. And you also have to start speaking it into existence. It's also your job to take action and to start putting your thoughts out there and your ideas out there, because this is how you can also connect with people. And in putting your ideas out there, people will say, oh, I know someone who knows someone. And that is how the magic starts to happen. That's how that snowball starts rolling down the mountain for you. And it just starts to grow and grow and grow. And how all of that came to fruition, me in my tiny little logical mind, I never could have made all of those connections. But in staying so true to my vision, and I stopped being so obsessed with thinking about my current circumstances, I instead focused on this vision so strongly, and I let go of the how, and I just surrendered. And literally within less than a year, it all happened. And I want to share some quotes with you that back this up as well. So I know you're familiar with Neville Goddard, and he says, you don't need to know how it's going to happen. Creation is finished. It is your job to live in the end. So this backs up exactly what I was doing with Costa Rica. I was just staying so true to that vision, thinking about it constantly. That is how the universe works with you in bringing it to creation. You're familiar with Abraham Hicks. The how is not your work. The how is the domain of the universe. Another one by Abraham Hicks. If you're trying to figure it all out, you're in the way. Just be clear on what you want and let the universe show you how. Dr. Joe Dispenza says, if you're trying to predict the outcome, you're thinking in the known. You must surrender to the unknown where infinite possibilities live. Florence Scovel Shinn says, do not force things. Know what you want. Speak the word and leave the results to infinite intelligence. Isn't this so exciting though? I mean, we have literally infinite intelligence working on our side to make these things come to fruition. That is the beautiful thing that we need to remember, is that we have infinite knowledge and infinite wisdom and infinite possibilities available to us. We always think the universe is out to get us and there's all this negative stuff. But if you start flipping the script and recognizing the universe is on your side. The universe is not biased between positive and negative. It just listens to what you say and believe and says, okay, here you go. It's time to start working with that and flip it to work in your favor. Okay, with all that said, let's get to number 3. You need to be taking inspired action. And I will be the first to admit that when I first discovered manifestation, the book, The Secret, all that kind of stuff, I'm not gonna lie to you. I literally was like, if I get all this kind of stuff down, I can just kind of sit here, do my gratitude, and things will just magically appear into my life. Absolutely not. And I will say, I really felt like this was kind of the big one that was kind of missing in that book. And I feel like that's how a lot of us discovered spirituality, which I'm very grateful for. But I really felt like they left this one out. It was a lot about gratitude, which is beautiful and absolutely necessary, but so is taking inspired action. This is equally important. This is essentially your way of showing the universe, I'm actually serious about this. Like, I'm not just planning on sitting back and expecting you to just throw everything at me. You do have to take inspired action. Think about even people who are trying to manifest winning the lottery. You don't just win the lottery by laying in bed all day. You do have to physically get up, go to the corner store or wherever and buy a ticket. Even that is inspired action. This is the key difference, right? Inspired. This is the key difference, because in one of the last videos I made, it was about letting go of the hustle culture, because a lot of the time we do this forceful action. We do all these things, like we keep ourselves busy because that's what we're taught to do, but we just take forceful action. This is the key, is to take inspired action. And what is the difference between hustle and inspired action? This is intuition led. And what is intuition? Our soul. And what is our soul attached to and fed and fueled by? The universe. Back when I was getting into meditation and I was taking that very seriously, especially when I was getting into my vision, I quite literally had a download, and I just had this thought pop into my head: go to Costa Rica. And this was back when I was still I really want to get into traveling, but I don't know how, I don't know what to do, I don't know where to go. And I just had this thought, and it just kept coming back and hammering me, go to Costa Rica, to the point where I said to my friends, I think I'm supposed to go to Costa Rica. I don't know why. But what's funny is, in having that download, the more I thought about it, the more I meditated on it, I eventually ended up getting a pull to go to Guatemala. And that was what I ended up following. And if you think about it, that is what started the whole series of events for me for getting to Costa Rica. Now, I don't doubt that there are limitless other ways that I could have ended up getting to Costa Rica. My point is, I still followed my intuition. I still followed that pull that I felt, that inspiration. And what did I do? I acted on it. Now, in relation to your own story, I'm just talking about traveling, but what is it in your life that you feel so called to do? I really, really encourage you to sit in that, meditate on that. And when you go really, really silent, it's incredible the downloads and the thoughts that will pop into your head. Those are inspired thoughts that are in alignment with that vision. Those are what you need to act on, even if they're super uncomfortable and you have no idea where to start. That's where you need to start. So instead of keeping yourself busy and doing the busy hand things and always just trying to force it, instead do the exact opposite. Go quiet, go within and find that inspired action that you need to take. It is your responsibility to show the universe, I am serious about these visions, about this goal. Think about it this way. The universe sees your action as feedback. If the universe sends you all these ideas and you don't act on them, it's going to say, okay, you're clearly not that serious. That's fine. No worries. Moving on. But if it sends you these inspired ideas and you act on it, it will say, all right, we're going somewhere now. I'm going to send you more ideas. I'm going to send you more opportunities. I'm going to send you more people that will help connect you. That is how I start to look at it, is the universe keeps sending you little tidbits and little ideas and little inspiration along the way as you begin to collect them and as you begin to act on them. Okay, now this is something else that's really important to know, because I never really understood what inspired action was. I would always hear it and people would say, inspired action, inspired. Well, what the hell does that mean? I don't really understand. Inspired action is a feeling. An inspired action is something that you will truly feel in your gut. Why? Because you will enter this flow state. It's like when I'm making these videos, okay? This is also something that's really cool. When I was in Costa Rica and I was very much in my space, and I was very much in a space that I felt very called to. I had another spiritual awakening there. It was a whole journey for me. I had a download to start making YouTube videos. And the thought of that was so overwhelming to me. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to do with that, but I just knew that I was being led in that direction for a reason. And here's the cool thing. Now that I've made a couple videos, every time I'm making videos, I notice that I completely lose my sense of time, what I'm doing, where I'm at. I just like hone in on it and I enter this flow state because it doesn't feel forced. It doesn't feel hard. I don't feel like I'm working for anything. You know, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. But it's so true. When you enter the flow state, you don't feel like you're working. You feel like you are doing something because you want to. You're passionate about it. It's your purpose. It's your calling. This is what the flow state is. And this is the feeling that I'm talking about. Inspired action is a feeling. And you'll just have this overall knowing that you're doing what you're meant to be doing. Okay, that was a lot of information today because again, I get carried away and I get so excited talking about this stuff, but let's summarize. What are you thinking about? What do your daily thoughts look like every single day? Are your thoughts always in response to your current reality, or are you always thinking about that vision and that goal and that version of yourself that you're stepping into? Even if you're not constantly sitting there like, I'm on a beach, I'm on a beach, I'm on a beach. No, you can also be thinking like, I am stepping into my higher self. I choose positive thoughts. I choose to see the lesson in whatever it is that comes my way. These are even just moving you in the direction of being that more positive and higher frequency self. And number two, remember, it's not your job to know the how. That's on the universe. Number three, take inspired action. Remember that lottery ticket does not buy itself. You still gotta buy the lottery ticket. Truly hope that these steps really put it into perspective on how you can make that vision, that dream, that beautiful goal of yours come to fruition. I hope this actually offered you an actionable action plan as to what you need to do moving forward. And let me know in the comments, did any of these actually stick out to you? Did you have any sort of aha moments during this video? Because for me, once all three of these actually clicked and I figured out how to put them together, it's actually incredible and it makes so much sense on how your thoughts actually create your reality. And if you enjoyed this video and found any value in it, I highly recommend you follow it up with the next video about following your intuition and what that looks like and feels like, which plays in perfectly to number three in today's video. Truly am grateful for you being here and I can't wait to see you in the next video.